Hello, my name is Fehring. I'm representing the Neosho FFA chapter, and I will be giving a speech on the Missouri Institute of Cooperatives. It was August 15, 2018, at Busch Stadium, the house that Ozzie Smith built. I was 13, and this was my first experience watching the Redbirds in action. This was an epic battle between the Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. This was a very important game as there are playoff contentions at stake. As I watched the game unfold, I was flooded with a range of emotions, from excitement when Matt Carpenter hit a home run to disappointment when we lost the lead in the next inning. Luckily, at the end of the day, the Cardinals came out on top 4-2. I was glad that my first experience at the ballpark was a positive one. The St. Louis Cardinals are a franchise full of history. 11 world championships, some of the greatest players to play the game, Bob Gibson and Stan Musial, just to name a few. To obtain this success, an organization must have many parts working together. A team does not win without it. Cooperatives are similar to the Cardinals franchise, with a rich history of service, benefits, legislation, and accomplishments because of synergy in the Missouri Institute of Cooperatives. On August 15, 1844, one of the first cooperatives was founded in Rochdale, England. Rochdale's economy was primarily operated by the textile industry. As the textile industry became more mechanized, workers struggled to maintain the standard of living they had once known in the past. Many weavers lived in poverty. History tells of weavers clothed in rags, working 16 hours a day. No minimum wage existed, and salaries were commonly below 10 pence per week in modern terms. Outraged citizens met with resolve to establish the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. Rules were established, and in October they were a legal organization under the Acts of Parliament. On December 21, 1844, the Mata Shop finally opened for business. Just like this cooperative in England was a benefit to its members, the Dairy Farmers of America, also referred to as DFA, has been a great benefit to my family. Growing up on a dairy farm was not always fine and dandy. Early morning milkings, late night heifer checks, cleaning the parlor more than I can remember, and feeding countless bottle calves. Living on a dairy farm is the true meaning of hard work and dedication. When I think back to my time on the dairy, one of my favorite lines from the FFA Creed by E.M. Tiffany plays in my mind. For I know the joys and discomforts of agricultural life and hold an inborn fondness for those associations which even in hours of discouragement I cannot deny. DFA was exactly that. They were an association that we could always count on for their support. Whether that was late night technical support or a yearly dividend check that was always put to good use. DFA was and still is a cooperative that stands with dairy farmers today. Although my family sold their dairy farm years ago, I still have a strong appreciation for DFA and the vital role they play in dairy farmers' lives. Just as they helped our family then, they will continue to support and sustain dairy farmers through hours of discouragement today. Newmac Electric Cooperative is also a champion of these principles and an excellent example of what community service looks like. When all chips were against them during the ice storm of 2007, and weather forecasters began to predict 7 to 8 inches of snow with possibility of ice, Newmac began to prepare for what could be the worst storm of the century. The day began like a lamb, cold with rain, but by late afternoon, the lion had roared, pouring rain and ice, and temperatures plummeted to 28 degrees. We sat in amazement of the ferocity of the falling, freezing rain. The power started to flicker. It flickered twice, and the third time, it was gone. The worst case scenario had arrived. There were thousands of miles of down lines, broken poles with icy roads. Panic began to arise with uncertainty of how long the power would be off. In a society dependent upon electricity at the flick of a switch, a failure in service results in wondering how our basic needs and those of our livestock would be met. After 12 days, an army of cooperative workers from around the country had restored our power. It was the best feeling we had felt in days. Cooperatives nationwide worked together to restore power to nearly 15,000 customers in the dark. Newmac and other cooperatives showed concern for community. Members of these cooperatives helped make a difference by cutting limbs, clearing roads, and providing hot meals. NewMac Electric is an organization which provides electricity to rural areas outside of towns and cities. NewMac Electric was founded in 1939 when local farmers became interested in electricity. With the help of County Agent Frank Darnell, who conducted local meetings at the Newton County Courthouse to promote the Rural Electrification Administration Program, on May 9, 1939, after many discussions and debate, 505 farmers representing 2 counties met in the Newton County Courthouse to establish the NewMac Electric Cooperative. This cooperative has thrived because of the need for electricity in rural areas. The success of this cooperative has filled a need in the community. NewMac is actively demonstrating the 7th principle of cooperatives, concern for community. I believe that through this pandemic, communities are more appreciative of cooperatives compared to big corporate businesses than ever before. Given the choice, most communities would choose a member-focused, democratic-controlled, community-oriented cooperative than just a business that supplies a product to the people. Since NewMac is actively demonstrating the 7 principles of cooperatives, I believe that they will continue to play a role in the future of Newton and McDonald County residents by providing electrical services and community support for generations to come. Just like the St. Louis Cardinals are striving to be a vital player in their community and enhance the lives of St. Louis residents, cooperatives in my hometown and across the country are aspiring to do the same. I believe that the role of cooperatives in my community is here to stay. I believe that cooperatives will exert an influence in my home and community which will stand solid for their part in that inspiring task.